I gotta be honest with you. I have the biggest fear of failure. You might relate to this because at the end of the day, I think so many of us think about the downside of whatever we're doing, whether it's our career path, whether it's starting our business, whether it's signing our kids up for some extracurricular activity, and will they get accepted, and will they like it, and will they be successful at it? Failure is a natural part of our human condition, and yet it is the one thing that never seems to go away in my mind. Let me explain. For as long as I can remember, failure was simply unacceptable. It was the carrot and the stick by which I made all decisions in my life. And when things did not go well in my upbringing, not achieving the result, not being perfect, you were a failure. You didn't live up to expectations. And I know this sounds harsh, right? But I've really come to, and I think it's age and wisdom that I've reached into this experience a little bit more to recognize how effed up that was to raise children, to live up to unreasonable expectations, to honestly be fearful of failure, and to feel like a complete loser when you didn't succeed. And so for much of my life, if I couldn't do it perfect, I wouldn't do it. If I couldn't guarantee myself that I would come out on the other end of the result with absolute success, I wouldn't do it. And it has caused me to miss out on so many opportunities in my life because I did not want to fail. Failure to me was the essential, shameful experience. And everything I do is to avoid that. Because for me, failure was extreme pain. Failure was never a teacher. It was something that held over your head like just an exclamation mark of why you were such a disappointment. And it's only over the last few years that I've started to realize how broken that philosophy is, how broken that thought process is, how failure is just one way of not being successful. It's a opportunity for you to learn what doesn't work and come back at it again. Not to carry the veil of shame so that you never started again, that you never attempted again. And I realized how many times I did that. How many times in my life and in my career, if I took the chance and I was not successful, I went the opposite direction because I felt immense shame for not being successful the first time. How jacked up is that? Like totally jacked up. The reality is, after realizing that I was carrying this guilt as part of my DNA, this shame is part of my makeup, I started to realize that is complete and utter BS. The only judge and jury of what I do and how I do it really resides in here. Not how my wife feels about it, how my kids feel about it, certainly not how my dad feels about it. It is here. Was I happy with the effort I gave, even though the outcome wasn't what it could have been? Was I learning something along the way that said, hey, don't do it this way, but you can try it these three other ways? I realized that I gave up whole chunks of my life avoiding failure for the fear of what everybody else would think of me, rather than saying, yep, that didn't work. Let's go at it again. Let's give it another whirl. Let's give it a try. Let's try until we succeed. And over the last few years, my attitude has shifted and my approach to how I've gone about troubleshooting, problem solving, rethinking, re-strategizing, being creative about things that I know I want to accomplish that may not be guaranteed home runs right out of the gate, but I'll get there. Everything has shifted for me. And it didn't really come into play until I actually had a conversation the other day with a coaching client. Someone that I really respect and admire, that really wants to move a different direction with their career path, but the fear was holding them back. So we got into the conversation about the fear, I felt like I was automatically in their shoes. They grew up with similar hangups around failure. They grew up with a certain amount of guilt and shame, just like I did. And realizing that this next step in their career path was not a guaranteed success path, but they wanted it, but they were afraid to try it. It became very obvious to me. We got very, very deep in our conversation. And I shared a lot of things that I haven't shared with anybody about conversations I had growing up with teachers and with my parents and with friends, and how that informed so much of what I did or didn't do. And fear just sat out there like waiting for me, right? Come on, I want you in the arena. I want you to fail so you carry that shame around for the rest of your life. And as I verbalized it, I felt myself getting emotional because I realized how I shortchanged myself in so many ways. And I believe, honestly, the shift in my attitude and my approach comes with age, comes with wisdom, but it also comes with an attitude of never giving up. So when I do experience failure or things don't work out the way that I think they should, I don't let that stop me from trying again. Yes, sir. May I have another? Yes, sir. Let's give it another go. Yes, ma'am. I am prepared to show up and try it differently and keep working on it until I make it work. And I felt like this was a huge breakthrough for my client, because at the end of the day, they recognized in themselves that they were very similar to me. Gave up way too soon. They were afraid to try new things. They weren't willing to experience new ways of learning what doesn't work and what will work or what could work, and keep at it until you go. And so I felt like we had this huge breakthrough, but the coaching session, I swear, ended up feeling more of value to me, potentially, because I took more away from the conversation we had, and really having these feelings come full circle. It was cathartic. It was powerful. And it was also a reinforcement, and at the age of 53, about to be 54, that I just say, fuck failure. Try anyway. Don't let the shame of not succeeding, at least initially, be that albatross around your neck. Don't let the opinions of other people frame how you live your life or how you perform at your work or how you go about building your business. Just show up. Be the man and the woman in the arena and keep fighting until you find the strategy, the process, the approach, the way to the yes, if you're selling a product or service. Keep working it and stop letting failure hold you back. Because when you do, and when you let it go, everything changes. I am proof in that. Am I always successful at everything I try? Absolutely not. Am I afraid to try new things because I'm afraid of failing? Not anymore. You shouldn't be either. Ripple on.